evening from Washington. I'm Larry O'Connor, and let's just say this right up front. There will be no democratic process in the Democratic Party this year. No, no, no. We don't need any of that democracy around here. We're Democrats, after all. That seems to be the message from the Jackass Party over there as they plan for their primary process to pick their nominee for president in 2024. And, well, they've picked him. And by they, I mean the power brokers inside the Democratic National Committee. They've decided their nominee is Joe Biden. Now, I mean, we can go ahead and have a primary process. We can have a caucus. Y'all can vote. But Joe Biden's going to be the nominee. So we don't need a debate. We don't need to waste our time on actually an exchange of ideas or letting Democrats know going forward who the best candidate might be. It's done. Joe Biden is the man. This at a time when Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is polling at about 19 or 20% after announcing just a couple of weeks ago. In fact, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is actually gaining quite a bit of traction from voters who aren't necessarily Democrats. And that's critically important because in most states right now, you don't have to be a registered Democrat to vote in the Democratic Party for the primaries, right? So if he's appealing to independents, if he's appealing to even Republicans who think that his message is the right one, then shouldn't they have a say in who the DNC chooses as their nominee? Well, no, says the Democrats in charge. Well, take a look at some of the things Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been saying recently. And before we get too far down this road, I'm not supporting Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I think he's got some lunatic left-wing ideas. He's not my guy. I'm going to be voting for the Republican nominee. But it's fascinating to watch the intramural discussion Democrats are having right now, or for that matter, the lack of discussion. A debate is not allowed, literally, in the Democratic Party right now. Well, here's what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been talking about. Here's a recent tweet from him that gained quite a bit of popularity. It's criticizing Britain's decision to deliver depleted uranium munitions to Ukraine. Now, of course, the Ukraine conflict is something that the Biden administration is 100% on board for. So is the Democratic Party. They've never voted against any escalation of the Ukraine war effort, against the invasion from Russia. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he's saying, maybe we should rethink this. Maybe this is bad. Maybe we shouldn't escalate things. That opinion isn't allowed in the Democratic Party. Here's another thing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. tweeted recently. It's possible to be pro-immigration and pro-closing the border. Right now, we have chaos at the border. That's a direct attack on Joe Biden's mishandling of the border. And guess what? There's a lot of Democrats who believe that. They agree with that. You know why? Because they have eyes. They can see the mess that it's the border. And the Democrats, they don't want this debate happening within their party. Here's another tweet from RFK Jr. This one has to do with free speech, saying that journalists and whistleblowers are being persecuted by the U.S. government. He's saying that he's going to help Julian Assange out if he becomes president. Now, again, I don't agree with everything that RFK Jr. says, but he is a thorn in the side of Democrats. And here's the thing. A lot of Democrats agree with what he has to say. Not to mention the fact that he's got, a legacy family name associated with the Kennedys, for crying out loud. Since when do Democrats not want to hear from a Kennedy? Well, apparently, as of now. Earlier today on MSNBC, Morning Joe of all places, Simone Sanders, pretty high-ranking person in the Democratic Party, she was asked specifically about this. And let's see what she had to say.
Bobby Kennedy Jr., doing well. He's at 19%. Hasn't really gotten that much out there. I mean, and I'm starting to hear more and more talk about him. Are we going to actually have a challenge here?
I'm trying not to laugh, Joe. There's not going to be.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yes.
Do you know how many people said the same thing about Donald Trump in 2015 on this show?
Except
said
I will
the
note,
same exact thing.
Yes, because there was going to be a Republican primary. But I really think that...
All right, let's pause here for a moment. So, Scarborough makes a point, broken clock is right twice a day. He says, sure, you're trying to laugh. You're trying to say Bobby Kennedy doesn't have it. Did you see the look on her face, by the way, too, Simone Sanders? Bobby Kennedy doesn't have a chance. You're going to laugh at him. Well, they laughed at Donald Trump. And what was Simone Sanders' response? Well, that was back when the Republicans were going to have a primary. Hate to tell you this, Democrats are having a primary. They're not like canceling the primary. There will be ballots. There will be voting. Democrats are going to choose between Joe Biden, Marianne. She can't keep them off the ballot. Bobby Kennedy Jr., Marianne Williamson, and any other Democrat who decides to get on a ballot in whatever states they can get on. There will be a primary, but look at how she's acting. Look at this attitude. There's not going to be a primary, but there is going to be a primary. But the deck is stacked. Watch.
The mealy-mouthed Democrats, as I like to call them, and some of my progressive friends who would like to live in a fantasy land, they need to come back to reality. Yeah. And the reality is this. The sitting president of the United States of America is a Democrat that would like to run for re-election, so much so that he has declared a re-election campaign. Right. In that case, the Democratic National Committee will not facilitate a primary process. There will be no debate stage for Bobby Kennedy, Marianne Williamson, or anyone else to stand
So we're going to have another Bobby Kennedy in an empty chair in the debate, right?
There will be no debate.
Yeah, no debate.
The Democratic National Committee administers the debates, and they're not going to set up a primary process for debates for someone to challenge the head of the Democratic Party.
Yeah. David, a lot of Democrats concerned about Joe Biden. They may not be saying it.
That's your Democratic Party. There will be no primary process. By the way, you know what the primary process is? It's voting. You know what voting is here in America? It's the exercise of democracy. There will be no debate. There will be no voting. There will be no democracy. Hugs and kisses, the Democratic Party. That's where they are right now. Not going to have any democracy around here. We're Democrats, after all. But the key tell in this entire exchange, and God bless Simone Sanders for being honest, brutally honest here, and she does it from an arrogant position of power. She can be this honest because what's going to happen to her? Who's going to say no? They have the power, and so they're going to exercise it. They're going to wield it. The key moment in this entire exchange was when Simone Sanders revealed, rightfully, that the president is a Democrat, and the Democrat president has decided he's running for re-election, period, end of story. He's got power, he represents our party, and we're never going to let it go. Not until it's ripped from our hands. We're not going to voluntarily walk into a process that could threaten our power. Absolutely not. We're in charge. Biden wants to stay in charge. You will shut up and you will take it. We're Democrats. So how long does this last? Is it sustainable? Are they able to move forward with what is clearly an undemocratic position within the Democratic Party? Of course. Simone Sanders' last gig before she worked for Kamala Harris and hated her so much that she had to leave was working for Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is a totalitarian, authoritarian Marxist. This is who they are. And this is who they'll always be. So no debates, no primaries, no voting, no democracy. You will take what we're giving you and you will like it. It's the Democratic Party. And by the way, just look at Joe Biden. What's not to like? He's perfect for you. There's more to come on O'Connor tonight. You're watching Salem News Channel.